there have been new developments in the Vidcon controversy between Anita Sarkeesian and Sargon of Akkad. And here it says that the Hank and John Green, the heads over the annual Vidcon event, they broke their silence and they apologized to Anita Sarkeesian for having to face Sargon of Akkad. Like they acknowledged that that Anita Sarkeesian's language was strong, but decided to apologize to Sarkeesian for having to face off against Sargon, another YouTube critic. So they apologized to Sarkeesian, not to Sargon of Akkad, because, you know, it's much worse to, you know, actually be there and have to face other people, like, but not to Sargon of Akkad, who is getting, like, insulted. But I think that's the main point of this whole thing, is to, you know, make you pissed off at the hypocrisy of it all. Like, I think this is literally drama, like a sort of real life reality TV drama on YouTube, like manipulated by a master puppet master. And then there's stuff like this, like Sargon of Akkad was investigated by Patreon over the Anita Sarkeesian Vidcon harassment. Like, so I guess they sort of they explored the possibility, like if Sargon of Akkad had done something wrong, and then they should close down his account. I suppose this is what it means, but at least they didn't. But yeah, here Dave Cullen says that Naked Ape and Wife with a Purpose were shut down by Patreon for hate speech. So yeah, of course it's bullshit if Patreon does something like that. But here he is pushing, you know, Minds, like, oh, if Minds can become a Patreon replacement, like I just like, yeah, so far Minds has been pretty good. As far as I know, I haven't heard of it censoring anyone, or like it has worked. But yeah, I still wouldn't, you know, like you know, if I wouldn't put all of my eggs in one basket, like, you know, the other baskets are rotten, and this is good for now, but, you know, what if you put all of your eggs in that basket, then it'll start to rot too. I don't know how eggs make it rot, but whatever. But anyway, I think, like I said in my previous video, I think this whole thing is a orchestrated event, like sort of manipulated, like because I do think that a lot of these skeptic communities, social moderates, they are controlled opposition, and not in the way, like in the sense that, you know, they have been bought off by the Illuminati or CIA or any you know, agency like that. Like, I do think that most of them, at least, they are sort of genuine in what they do, but they are being manipulated to become, like, you know, reactionary. Like, you know, something bullshit like this happens, or bullshit like this happens, and then they react to it in a fairly predictable way. And then it creates drama and controversy, and, you know, Sargon supposedly hates drama, as we, you know, learned during the Candid days. And, you know, like, oh, it's drama, but this is actual drama, like, whatever, like, it's just to make people distracted and pay attention to it. And now I'm making a video and I feel like an asshole, but it still pisses me off, so I feel like I should. So anyway, like, when I say it's controlled opposition, it's like this, like, you know, Sargon of Akkad, Anita Sarkeesian, and then there is a third party, you know, setting, like, somebody, whoever, like, I don't know who that puppet master is, like, you know, here is the devil, but who is the real life representative of this devil? I I guess it's some sort of think tank or a person, sort of like George Soros, and that would be a really nice thing to know who is actually like orchestrating it or what sort of group. But I do think they are like they create drama and people to get like morally outraged, because nowadays, like a few years ago, it was more like, some quote unquote sexist, racist male does something, and then all the lefties can get morally outraged by it. But now it's more like maybe it's more like equal now. Now also like all of us hateful, racist, right wing people. Although I'm not really right wing, but I'm right wing in the sense that I'm certainly not left wing. But anyway, like, now we can get morally outraged over bullshit like this or this. And this is like, just to keep us complaining about basically and not doing anything, or like, not, like, they want people to blame Anita Sarkeesian or even like those guys, and not the real, puppet master of the show. Like, like this sort of stuff. And I think these e-celebrities, they are very easy to manipulate like this, because I think many of them, they are basically, by pointing out the hypocrisy of this crap, they can they get fame, fortune, and the sense of doing something important, and like, oh, look at how hypocritical they are because of this, and Anita Sarkeesian, and why are there these anime asses here? Okay, whatever. So yeah, I think it's they are easy to control. Like, when you have the resources and the understanding, it's very predictable. Like most of them, at least, is quote unquote skeptic community people. And I guess like where my beef is with this whole thing is, of course, like, I think a lot of people, they are pissed off. Like, I think pretty much everybody in the world is pissed off. Like, they understand there is something wrong with the world, global system and society and all that stuff. Like, it's applies both to leftists and right-wing people and traditionalists and whoever are alt-right. Like, it's that people have a very different conception what is wrong and why, what is the cause of it. But at least, like, that's one thing that almost everybody could agree on, that there is something wrong in society and we should fix it. And I think a lot of more like more rational, certainly, than feminists, more rational people, they sort of look to these sort of people, or even these sort of people, to sort of fight the war, the culture war, as Sargon of Akkad has put it. Like, it's a culture war. I don't know if he's still pushing that narrative, but he did a few months ago. But anyway, so my point is that, if you really are, interested in fixing the system and what is wrong with the world, don't just put your, faith on these people who are just puppets on, on a grand stage. Like, because supporting the so-called skeptic community, it won't just start all the wars or mass immigration, terrorism, mass immigration, economic inequality, all these things. And because are these, I'm still not clear, like, are they are they a community? This is a community that is not a community, and it's fighting a culture war. But hey, they're just shit posting. Don't take it so seriously. Like, I'm very confused. Like, what is their like agenda or something? Because they're sort of, they're like Jews. They can be whatever they want at whatever point. Like, sometimes they pretend like they are morally superior and, they are very intelligent and intellectual. And then sometimes like, yeah, I'm just a guy having a fun, making some YouTube videos, don't take it so seriously. And of course, like, yeah, if you just find it entertaining, you know, to watch their videos or whatever, like, sure, I'm not gonna tell you not to watch their videos, but they're not like, you know, they won't bring any, you know, they won't fix the problems that we are facing, like, because, and sometimes, like, sure, they bring attention to some significant social issues, but then they also distract them, like, because I do think they are figuratively, you know, puppets of some puppet master. And it's not like a, you know, I don't think it's some even like a, you know, very complicated conspiracy or something. It's just, you know, well, like you know, Lenin said, like I guess I should find the quote just to, you know, if somebody hasn't seen it. Controlled opposition. The best way to control the opposition is to lead it ourselves. And like, you know, like, yeah, it is. I do think it's basically communists who are behind most of this stuff. And well, of course, there you can interpret communist in different ways, but like these people, like, yeah, I don't think that, you know, Dave Cullen, especially like him, I don't think he's like a secret communist or anything like that, or he's paid off by George Soros or a similar person to, you know, mislead people. No, I do think he's genuine. And like, well, Sargon of Akkad, I do think that he thinks he's genuine, but I think he changes his motivation whenever it suits him to, like, sometimes he's like, you know, he's fighting the culture war and he's so important, but sometimes he's just one guy and he's so humble, and, you know, if he says some bullshit then people will point it out, and sometimes he's just shit posting, dude. So yeah, it I don't know, you know, they won't fix the problem, and, you know, just recognize it, like, yeah, if you get something out of their videos, fine, but they won't fix the world, they won't fix our problems.